Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Ryan118, Ryan Fitzsimons, if you want to be more professional. I'm joined today with a guest. In fact, it's somebody who's been on the most recent edition of the Celtic the Thunder podcast. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ryan McGinley. Ryan, I mean, we're here to talk about something that isn't. I was going to open up with the question, "How are you doing?" But after that, I feel like maybe how you were doing has changed in the past half an hour. But I'll ask anyway. How are you doing?
I just feel the same as I did before. Really, he said everything that we know. Basically, he's not admitted to anything different.
One of the ones.
Nonplussed with everything.
It's one of the ones, like we spoke about it a lot on the podcast the other day. It was Sunday we put that up, and we sat there and we spoke about our reaction to the Dubai fiasco. And the thing that we missed out on, the major negative about the time we recorded the show, was literally a few hours later we found out that there was a positive test at the club. Yep. And then the next day we found out that Christopher Julian was that positive case. Mm-hmm. And everything from then has just went on to tumble into an embarrassing week for Celtic, on top of an embarrassing season that we've already seen. And we've been waiting for a response from the club. We've been waiting for Peter Lawwell to come out and talk about it. We've been waiting for anybody at the club really to come out and talk about it. And we finally got that answer today. We got that answer through a 5-minute interview on the Celtic YouTube channel. Before we dive into the individual parts of it and different things that have been said, what is your overall reaction to what you've just watched? I know you've said he's basically said everything, but is there any sort of emotion or such running through you as we currently speak?
The first thing that comes to mind is birthday card pish. It's just a load of nonsense, a load of rubbish. And the overriding feeling, or the comment that got to me the most, was this opinion that we've been most affected by the coronavirus. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping he's meaning the performances, because there's other teams that have been affected a lot more than we have. Could put St Mirren and Kilmarnock as examples as well. But no, I'm glad that he's apologised, but it's about 3 or 4 days too late now.
Yeah, we've got to first of all sit down and speak about, and let's be honest, because we're going to be wildly judgmental in this video for things that have been said, and we're going to be wildly critical. Let's get one thing out of the way very quickly. I think that Celtic fans can agree that there has to be a sense of appreciation for the apology that has actually been done. Granted, it is, as you've said, 3 or 4 days late. Okay, we'll take that part. As I was watching on, I've took notes of different things that were said and different things Peter Lawwell came out with. The thing you say, that's the thing that annoys you the most. I completely understand that first, right? The thing that annoyed me the most is, and I know this is skipping right to the end, and we should really go through it section by section. He says we're going to keep fighting. We're going to maximise the potential of the football club. Now, to me, maximising the potential of the football club was taking on a decision months ago of sacking the manager, who clearly wasn't going to be right for the potential of this football club. And yet, look where we are. So, with him hitting out with statements like that, when we're off the back of this apparent mid-year review and Neil Lennon's position would be judged then, it makes you wonder, Ryan, what is the potential for the club? Are they just accepting that the club's direction is now heading downwards?
I don't know. There has been talk for a while that we're going to downsize after this season. I don't know if there's some rumours regarding that, but it feels as if we're going that way. I mean, we're just blindly just accepting that this is the way this season's going. We're not making any change. We didn't make any change in October when we should have. I thought October was the earliest we could have done it after Rangers. But no, the time for change was months ago, and the fact that we're still not talking about it, it's a bit embarrassing, really. I mean, the fact that the board aren't talking about it, they're the only ones that aren't talking about it. Everyone else is. The media is, the mainstream media, the fan media, everyone's talking about it bar them.
And that brings me on nicely to a point that we're going to speak about here. I want to bring up. So we'll talk about how the board have been kind of hiding away from it. We've not really seen anybody at the club talk about the situation. Jeremy McCulloch, I didn't like the way he asked the question. He posed the question to Peter Lawwell about how the fans have been taking it on and this sense of arrogance and stuff. And Peter Lawwell then hit back. He was saying, he thinks that there has been a sense of arrogance and such. It's once again another kind of slap in the face towards the fans, isn't it?
it's a slap in the face to the fans, especially because they're some of the ones that are saying all this stuff. The fans are actually coming out and agreeing that we've been arrogant through this. So the fact that they're just brushing this off as if it's nothing, when it is a valid opinion from a lot of Celtic fans, it feels like another attack on the fans, to be honest, and it seems like there's been tons of them this season.
It does. And it is one of those ones now that, I've been saying in a few of the videos that we've done this season, I've sat down and spoke. I've said, and I don't know how many people would agree and how many people are on the same boat as me even thinking this, but it is surely going to hurt the pockets of these guys at the top come, season ticket renewal time. We're only a couple of months away. I think the season book renewal process usually starts in the March or April time of the season. We're nearly there. We're 2 months away. And with the statements that this club has released over the past few months regarding, the fans gathering outside Celtic Park and their opinion of Lennon at that time, to now this video that's been released here, you've got to think people are quite right to exercise this right to get rid, because we're being treated like fools.
Yep, I feel like we've been treated like fools all season, to be perfectly honest. From the renewals of last season, the wording of certain things in that renewal booklet, right up to now, and obviously with the refunds as well, they treated the fans as fools during that as well. But no, it's sorry. What was your question? I'm honestly,
it's like that's the thing. I can completely understand. We're sitting here and you don't even know how to react to it, because it just feels like we're learning nothing. We've asked for a genuine answer from the club as to where we're heading here. We've asked time and time again what is happening, and that's what it hits out with. So the point I was making there is, surely it's going to hurt the pockets of the club. But you wouldn't blame fans for not renewing their season ticket, would you?
Oh no, I was reading the forum posts on Kerrydale Street, and it seemed as if the majority of fans weren't renewing. I know that maybe you would get some sort of extreme fans that would be saying that they wouldn't renew, but it seems like they were the loudest, as if it was a majority of fans that weren't going to renew. And I feel like they're going to get hit financially from all angles here, because this season has been a nightmare. Players' values are dropping by the minute, by the game, basically. And then with the whole Dubai debacle as well, the fact that players are isolating means they're not in the shop window. They can't be sold because other teams aren't looking at them. And then it provides doubts into whether or not these teams can take these players on.
I know I feel like such a hypocrite as I sit here and I say, I wouldn't blame fans for not renewing their season ticket, when mostly we were talking about this the other day, me and Kieran, of course, Kieran, another man in the podcast with us, we were sitting talking about, we were just having a wee moan in the group chat about everything that's going on, and then we ended the conversation with, and we're still going to renew, aren't we? It feels like, it's so easy to be played the fiddle, but you want to support your club. You want to be there for the club and you want to love it. They're just making it incredibly difficult at times like this. And I see a lot of people piling in their opinions in the chat. Thank you to everybody who is piling in their opinions in the chat and watching as we stream here live, who are saying, I'm still renewing all this. But I believe there'll be a large portion of people who will renew their tickets in fair play. And I believe I'll probably be in that boat. I'm not going to lie about that. I probably will renew my season ticket. But you can't turn around to anybody and blame them for not. And, you will get that sense of superiority from a section of the support that will go, you're turning your back in the club. But at this point in time, I could not blame anybody.
No, not at all. I'll renew as well. My dad and I will both renew. I think I'll need to ask his opinion on it. But, no, I feel like this will be the charm. The charm offensive will come into play in the next couple of months. I feel like they'll really play on this. The fact that we've not been around, they need us back. The fans are the most important part of Celtic in that, and we need yous to do well. And I wouldn't even be surprised if they said, "Look at what's happened when you're not here."
Right, so we'll talk about for the start of the interview that started there, that was live a few moments ago. Let's have a little look at what he was saying. So it started off, in case you've just tuned in to the show, we've got 500 odd people watching live in a minute, so thank you very much. And of course, it will be available on the channel. Ryan, this is the first time you ever had a live audience, isn't it?
I know. Throwing
you in at the deep end. So it started off with, of course, Lawwell addressing the situation the club is currently in. He gives an apology. He talks about the fact that we probably, in hindsight, shouldn't have been going to Dubai. In fact, it's correct. The term that he did use was, it was clearly a mistake. It was regrettable. But he was looking at it from the aspect of the last 4 years since we've went to Dubai. It's been extremely successful. It was in the best interest of the club, and the fact is, it's turned their performance around in January. It's simply not good enough, Ryan, is it?
No, it's not. And I'd like to go back to what I said on the podcast as well. Like, it seems as if we were relying on this because a lot of the times, well, the past 2 or 3 times we went to Dubai, it was off the back of a Rangers defeat. So it feels like we're sort of relying on it. But come on, you've got to be able to read the room in a current pandemic where nobody can really leave their house at this point. The fact that you're going away to a foreign country, it should be obvious that you don't do that. I mean, it's kind of looked down upon if anyone goes on like a wee 2-day holiday just now. So the fact that a football team is going all the way to Dubai, I know it was for training, but you obviously saw the pictures of the pints and that as well. I mean, it's just unacceptable. I feel like I'd say unacceptable and disgraceful a lot, but it really is, and it just sums up this season.
I know you hit the nail with the head there, talking about, you know, the fact that we shouldn't be doing it the way the world is. He will insist it was in the best interest. They've decided the way back in November, they said it was able to happen. There was the green corridor, was the words that he used. We followed all the protocols, and in turn, we've had only our first positive test of the whole season. Once again, I feel like I'm obliged to say, Lawwell is calling, and Jeremy Culloch, with the way he worded the question and the way that Lawwell answered the question, are hinting at this idea that the fans are arrogant. In that answer itself, and everything he's trying to defend about this trip, Lawwell has to be looked at as the arrogant one. Surely. He's gone right to the death of this, and it's all very well saying in hindsight and, you know, looking back and all the rest of it. As you said, Ryan, read the room.
I think it came across as really arrogant as well, the way the questions were worded, the way the questions were answered, and the way the questions were said. No, it really did come across as arrogant. I mean, again, can you not read the room?
It's just the story of the season.
Yep.
And look, there was one thing that really annoyed me, and I think it's one of the last things that I want to touch on. And if you're piling in comments, feel free, keep going on. There's David sitting enjoying it. He was we watched it together. Well, he watched from the doorway as I sat and took my notes. And just at the end of it, you know, and this is a man who's not a Celtic supporter, but he resonates the same sort of feeling as us all. You know, we're all thinking the same thing as we listen on. It seems like the man is getting more and more clueless as we watch. Well, on you go, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think this season he's really shown his limitations, especially in the midst of a pandemic. With the whole situation with the manager, with the just the way the season's gone, the lack of communication with the fans has been alarming, to say the least. When we can't really make our opinions known apart from the internet and that. So the fact that they're not really in direct contact with us unless it's absolutely necessary really isn't good enough.
Right, okay. The one point, very well said as well, Ryan. I must admit, I'm just sitting here just trying to think of what the next point is in my head, because there's so many things you could say.
On the hat, basically.
Aye, it is. But look, we had 10 minutes to prepare to come on here live and give our opinions and speak quite fucking, I'm going to say honestly about it all. There's no disguise here. You could say as much as you like about things looking kind of fake and scripted over at Celtic, but here we're just speaking from the heart and the head, straight off the bat.
I've only brought myself to watch the video once, and even then I couldn't even watch the video. I was watching it in the family room, or the dining room rather, with my mum. She was still working across from me. I was actually just doing this, just listening to it, because I can't honestly look at him. It honestly sickens me. The whole regime. I'm going to keep on calling it a regime because that's what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't.
I know it had a very, very North Korean vibe to it, wasn't it? Like a Kim Jong-un address. I seen that on Twitter, the Spunk phone, and put it up, and, you know, just to give him his credit for the creativity. But my God, aye, and right, okay. So the final point that really annoyed me about this whole thing. Right, and once again, I will reiterate for the people who have, because we're up to 6:70 now, a lot of people have probably missed the very top of the show. I will reiterate very bluntly that I'm appreciative that we have had an apology. I do believe it is a bit late to what we should have had, but I do appreciate the thought there behind it to give us a sort of, apology to all. What really annoys me though is we went 5 minutes there hearing the exact same things that we've heard through statement, press conference, everything else. And what we would just tend to expect, the minute I turned it on, David turned to me and went, you know what's got to be said? It's just got to be the same old stuff. And it was spot on. There was not one reference in the entire 5 minutes of how this club is performing on the park at the minute. Not one reference to the managerial situation at the minute, and not one reference to the fact that we are 21 points behind our rivals. However, and I've said this part already, it goes on to say we'll keep fighting, and it goes on to say that we will maximise the potential. Along with those statements, Peter Law, where is the conversation surrounding where our club is right now? And Ryan, that must be frustrating to just watch and see that unfurl there.
It is, yeah. Over the past couple of years, with the amount of statements and that Rangers have put out, I've went and called them Victim FC and stuff. But it feels like we've played the biggest Uno reverse card possible with this. It feels as if we're now suddenly painting ourselves as the victims. Like you said, there was no mention of the fact that we're 21 points behind. I know we've got three games in hand, but I mean, even then, it will still be a bit unacceptable again. But no, there's no mention of the review either. The fact that the SLO is the only person within the club that's mentioned about the review, because that's his job, obviously. But no, the fact that
shambolic.
It's shambolic, and it just sums up the season. Really, it's just been a shambolic season, and I'm just sick of talking about us, to be honest. Oh, I don't know if you've paused again or you've froze again.
Has it just kept you alive there yourself for the last 2 minutes?
I hope not, honestly. I feel like people will just be perving on me or something.
I have a slight feeling it has. But I don't know what point. I don't know what happened there. It's just that the internet in this flat is absolutely shocking. I don't know what point you left off at there when you were speaking before I froze, but feel free to continue with anything you were saying, right?
No, I just stopped because
you just noticed my face frozen.
Like Celtic, there was just a media silence, basically.
It's honestly just baffling at this point. Like, it was the same yesterday. Me and David were streaming in the Talk Scottish Football channel, and I just croaked it for a good 2 minutes because of how bad the Wi-Fi in this house is. But I would very quickly like to say we've still got 700 people watching despite the silence and despite the
I think that says more about them than it does about us. The fact that they were just watching me panic messaging you. I should charge for that.
I know. I came back in, and all I can see is everybody say, it's a takeover, McGinley 118 and all the rest.
You've seen that?
Aye, I just seen that in the comments as I came back.
I've just realised I've had the private chat on, so it looks as if nobody's speaking.
Oh, so you've just seen nothing.
Shambles.
Right, well,
there is actually a bit of water in that. Someone said a bottle of water. I mean, glass is like a
tiny. Right, we've basically covered everything from the interview. I think that was there. It kind of goes through it. It goes on to say, the protocols were robust, and you just see everything that we've seen over the past kind of couple days in terms of that. The ending is the part that's going to be spoke about, I think. I think that's going to be consistently what we're going to see. And a big donation. Thank you very much to Ewan Stars, who donates $3.99. Doesn't leave a comment along with it, but very much appreciated, Ewan. And I think I might need to transfer that to Ryan for carrying the stream while I was gone.
Oh, my ultimate team needs it at the moment, so.
But look, it's going to be the end that will be spoke about, and that is Lawwell's just inability to address a torrid situation that Celtic are in. And it just feels like, the club is in now a kind of stationary position where we will not, kind of progress. Now, there has been kind of murmurs and talk, and you've seen, I think it was the Bournemouth manager came out talking about how Eddie Howe would love to take this job and such, but the way that it's going, and the fact that Lawwell just blatantly refuses to come out and speak about the performance and the manager in that situation where he has the camera, his desk, and everything there, an address to the Celtic nation, and he still doesn't address it, just doesn't give me confidence that we will see anything change in the coming months, Ryan.
No, I really don't expect any change, at least until the bare minimum is required in the summer when we don't sell out our allocation for Celtic Park. And even then, I really do see us going and appointing John Kennedy. I think it's going to be so typical of Celtic to go for the cheap option again, even when it's the cheap option, but we can't really afford it now.
Exactly.
In a weird sense.
Right, and a massive donation from Ewan Stars once again. Thank you very much. That's nearly 10 quid he's donated in the space of a couple of minutes. Ewan Stars donates $4.99. He says he can say he's sorry, but he's the one that cost us 10 in a row. And everything that's happened this season, he needs to go with Lennon. And I think it just kind of sums up everything, Ryan. I think we both agree in the fact that there is a complete change needed from head to toe. And that includes, at a point, in October, Lawwell could have saved his skin. Lawwell could have been there in October, made the decision to get rid of Lennon, and that no one would have there would obviously have been people, there would have been doubters, and I think we would all have heard some form of negative opinion, but he would have been comfortable in that CEO position. He's now brought it to the point where we all want to see Dermot Desmond take the right actions and change everything from Peter Lawwell's position right to the point of Neil Lennon.
Yep. I think he's the most comfortable CEO in the business world, honestly. I think his job is so secure because I feel like he's just got the blind backing of Dermot Desmond regardless.
David's just invaded. My scran's just arrived. As we're live. Professional as always.
No, I feel like he's comfortable. But changes need to happen. Then they need to happen just now. Well, you would think that they would need to happen just now, but they won't. I feel like that's the story of this season, but it won't happen. Like, they should happen, but it won't happen.
That's basically what we've all been saying, and I think it's just going to continue. It'll be continue what we're saying as this time goes on. So, not much to change. But Ryan, thank you very much for joining me. We've been on for about 25 minutes now, and you carried this for a good 2 while I was in the Nether realm. So, thank you very much for that. Any last things that you want to get off your chest before I end this stream?
Yeah, just in case anyone thought I was sitting on the fence. Lennon out, Lawwell out, Desmond out if there is a more capable majority shareholder. And half the team needs rebuilt in the summer. And that's putting it lightly.
That is putting it lightly. Me and Ryan went back to talk about this in the Celtic the Thunder probably at some point this week. There'll be a couple of episodes, I think, due at this point, considering how much there is to speak about. I will be back live at 7 o'clock to do the second season of the FM Save. Thank you to everybody who's been watching on. We've had nearly 800 live viewers here. It'll also be available for people to watch afterwards. Ryan, thank you again. If you want to follow Ryan on Twitter, make sure to go over at the Ryan McGinley. You can follow him there, and you can follow me, of course, at Ryan Stephen F. I suppose there would be more opinion on there. And of course, the last comment I'm going to bring up, Ryan, because I feel like we have to, we're just a couple of spoiled wee fans,
Yep, spoiled couple of wee fans, self-entitled. We need to keep the faith. We need to clap our hands and be happy with this. We need to just accept this. No, we're supposedly a big team, and we can't accept this, because if we do accept this, then we'll become a wee team, and we can't accept that.